Like, let's get into it. First things first. We'll get into the Kari Adams and Joey O'Brien here in a second. I want to get to the one that just committed today, and offensive lineman Charlie Thom. He is a tight end turned offensive lineman whose recruitment has blown up within the last couple months, getting offers from Penn State, Boston College, Michigan State, Nebraska, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, among others. Kind of a Joe Alt type. This one was kind of weird because I remember when his prediction went in for him, everybody was like, and Notre Dame offered him, was like, hey, is this a replacement because Grayson was going to go to Penn State? And then it turned into, well, no, Notre Dame just likes him just as much, and they want to take 6 offensive linemen in this class. So how are you guys feeling about Charlie Thom committing to the Irish?
Yeah, I didn't expect 6 offensive linemen in this class, especially with the group we have now. Majority of them will return next year, and we have some really talented guys that are even younger than that coming in as freshmen or this year, or second-year guys for. But I didn't expect 6, but this is a big time commitment. I don't think he'll be a 3-star by the time the season ends. I see him going up to a 4-star. The talent's there. He hasn't had, like you said, switched offensive line. So once he gets that really under his belt, there's a reason he's getting all these offers. He's going to be a 4-star by the end of this. He's got the potential. He's kind of a gadget player. I don't want to say every time you see a 3-star offensive lineman that's pretty good commit to Notre Dame, you're like, oh, it's Joe Alt, right? I don't think it's going to be a Joe Alt type impact right away, but I could see him as somebody that I see him as a future starter at Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, I agree.
If you had to compare him, who would you compare him to?
Yeah, what would be a good Notre Dame comp? Like, obviously, Joe Alt's kind of the easy one because of the tight end comparison, but like, I feel like I could see him being like an Alex Bars type.
Yeah.
Put some weight on. Get work on his techniques. Stay a couple years in the system. I could see that. What about you guys?
Yeah, I was probably gonna say Bars type.
Yeah. You don't see him as a Tosh Baker or anything like that?
Tosh Baker.
That wasn't on the top of my head. Yeah, that wasn't on the top of my head. I'm not gonna lie, but I could see that. The big thing about him is you look at recruiting. People are gonna say, "Oh, he's not even like nationally ranked on 247." Some spots have him as a 3. A lot of spots have him a 3-star. Look, it's not always about the rankings. I talk about it a lot when we talk in spaces and stuff like that. It's not always about the rankings. You gotta see who's offering them. Penn State's giving this kid offers. Michigan State, Virginia Tech, Nebraska. He's getting offers from some good D1 schools when it comes to producing a lineman. He's not just some out of nowhere kid that we just offered because we think he's good. Other schools also think he's really good, which is something that we need to look at in the future. And this is, as Ryan would say, we put Penn State in a locker for their backup. This guy was supposed to be like, oh, well, if we don't get I'm not going to mess up the kid's name. If we don't get Grayson, let's say his first name. If we don't get Grayson, we're going to go get Thom or Thomas, whatever. We're going to go get him. So it's really good to do this in the O lineman group. And bringing in 6 O linemen, I don't think it's anything wrong with it. It's adding more depth to that position that we love having depth in. And depth this year is what made us go to the national championship in that position. If we didn't have as many linemen as we had that could play, we probably aren't in the natty game.
Yeah, I think I will say that after their freshman, maybe even sophomore year, but I say freshman year, I think in the new era of college football, we probably have 4 of these 6 offensive linemen. Just how it's going to be. There's going to be 1 or 2 that enter the portal. It's just the way college football has transpired. But is there any chance that you think with this tight end ability that I do feel like we're getting really good depth at the tight end position in recruiting? I don't think it's needed, but do you think there's any positional change like an Xavier Watts or something like that or Avery Davis where he just goes to tight end if it's needed?
So I think I think he's going to strictly stay offensive line.
Yeah.
Just because I think Notre Dame's fine at the other spots. You could even argue they're fine at offensive line, but again, that depth. Like Marcus had said, when you lose Charles Jagasaw before the season, you realize how lucky we were to have an Anthony Knapp locked and loaded. Ashton Craig goes down. We're lucky to have, Pat Coogan on that offensive line. We were so fortunate with the amount of injuries that we had on that offensive line that we were just able to plug and play.
I know. I don't want. I wish Pat Coogan never left. Yeah, even though, with the depth we've had, he probably wouldn't be a starter this year. Just the leadership he had, it's hard to see some of those guys leave after what they did during the season last year. This offensive line group's good, like you said. I do have a hard time imagining who the starting five is going to be, and that's not a knock on, we don't know who it's going to be. I think it's just we have that many good offensive linemen that Emil Wagner's going to start, Ashton Craig, right? All these players, but you don't know who is going to be. You don't know if Will Black's going to start. You don't know if Gerby Lambert's going to start. You don't know if they're going to move, certain players inside. Jagasaw is likely inside, but this is how good that group is. So I agree with y'all. It's super talented.
Thing we could watch with him here, and maybe it comes sophomore year. I don't know if they'll trust a freshman with it, but sophomore year, if there's still a lot of depth there in the O-line, he could be put on certain packages, like goal line package where your guy would run a bootleg out to the right, and you have a disguised O-lineman come in, catch a pass. It's something where that's where it comes to getting these tight ends who want to switch to O-line. You get those options. So maybe that's something that we look at in the future.